Welcome to Inner Peace, Better Health, the show where we dive into the extraordinary ways to balance your inner world while thriving in the outer one. I'm your host, Eric, here to guide you through eye opening conversations with experts, seekers, and everyday mystics who have uncovered their purpose in unexpected ways. Today, we are about to unlock some cosmic truths and laugh along the way and find out how spirituality can help you live a life full of meaning. So let's get into it. And for today's show, I really want to welcome Mr. Owen Hunt. So, Owen, you are welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here. It's a pleasure to have you, and on behalf of my listeners, I really want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks. I'm very happy to be here, Eric. Thank you very much for having me.
So, Owen, I have heard that your story starts in a pretty dark place. How did spirituality pull you out of depression?
Well, I had to find something. When
Yeah,
you're that far deep into depression, anything that could potentially get you out of it is
yeah, yeah, yeah,
appealing.
yeah.
I was reading a lot of different books and self-help books, early mystical books, spiritual books, new thought books from the early 1900s. Really anything that I could get my hands on. And there were a few books that really did stick out and really helped me to kind of pull myself out of that place.
Wow. Kind of. Isn't that a story for everyone? Because like when you are that desperate place, when you are just so needy, you just want something. Because I believe that you are actually finding comfort and love in all the things that are around you, whether it's knowledge, whether it's philosophies, whether it's books, and I mean, you surely land on something, and I think that's what happened in your case, and that's what happened in my case as well.
Oh, really?
And
What,
yeah,
what,
yeah,
what
yeah.
book was it? Was there a particular book or a particular idea or set of ideas that kind of helped you get out of that place?
Owen, I actually, when I was in a very, very, very dark place around 4 years ago, I came across the teachings of Jesus, and I I just started reading the Bible, and then I actually got to know who I am and my identity and who I am called to be and what the things that I'm called to do on this earth. So yeah, I for me that worked like a charm, and I really hold his teachings close to my heart, and that's what pulled me out of depression and anxiety and just so many things: low self-esteem, anxiety, fear, crowd fear, and just so many things that if I have to list it all down, then I think it would just I would have to spend the whole night.
No, that's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing. Those teachings are very close to my heart. I grew up in the church, so it was a little bit
Hmm.
of a different experience for me, organized religion, Southern Baptist, Pentecostal
Yeah,
type of
I
a lot of
get you.
guilt and fire and brimstone and stuff like that. But the teachings themselves really, really shaped who I am at a deep level from a young age. And then a lot of the spiritual teachings I found later on just really exemplified some of those ideas and showed me how to kind of take what I'd learned in the church and apply it in real life. I think sometimes for a lot of people, or for me, maybe Christianity is the what, and a lot of the metaphysical literature is the how.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're totally right on this. I mean, for skeptics, isn't finding purpose in spirituality just a wishful thinking? What would you say about it?
Absolutely not. I think everyone's here not for no reason. Everyone is here for a reason. We all have purpose. It's up to us to discover what that purpose is. And there are a myriad of tools that are available for us to start to tease that out and tweak that and figure it out. Not only are we here for a purpose, but I think it goes farther beyond that as we begin to explore ourselves and discover our essence at a deep level. There's a lot to learn about ourselves as we explore what I consider to be the final rabbit hole, and that's ourselves. So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time myself trying to find purpose. That was a big thing that I struggled with, which is why it's at the forefront of my coaching practice and the first thing that I really try and focus on with people. So I have a lot of tools from the Ikigai, which is an ancient Japanese
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ideology of your reason for being, to Steve Pavlina's work, to reality transurfing book, to the Bible, to the Bhagavad Gita, to many other books and thinkers that I've taken their exercises, ideas, formed them into processes that I share with people to help them figure out what they're here to do.
Yeah. And Owen, one of the most interesting things that I have heard about you is that you have combined spirituality with comedy and business. I mean, that's a strange pair. So how do these worlds even connect?
Well, I don't know how they don't connect. But I will say this, like just from my own perspective, right? I've always enjoyed laughter, having fun, making jokes with friends, things like that. And when I got into
Yeah.
spirituality, it kind of made me a little bit pious at first. And I was very much like a little bit more serious, and, spirituality and then comedy sort of seemed like they were in two different worlds, right? Like it's like in spirituality, you have to pretend like everything's perfect and all is one and it's all love, and which those things are true. When I say pretend, I don't mean that they're not true. But you kind of, I think, ignore oftentimes the things that are gnawing at you, and it's a little bit harder to be truly honest with yourself. And so there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but comedy really helped me to open that part of my awareness up so that I could, because like comedy is about what's wrong with the world and what could be better, and this is stupid, this is dumb, this is weird, etc. And those things are true too. Like there's a lot of weird, dumb, stupid things in the world, and I think that you can resolve those two extremes, and comedy specifically helped me to do that, because you can be spiritual and you can, be still, still have a sense of humor about the world and not take everything, so seriously. In fact, I believe whenever
Yeah.
we allow ourselves to laugh at something, it no longer has power over us. Now, in fact, we're able to like appreciate it for what it is, make a joke about it, and all of a sudden it's not such a burden on us. Instead, it's something that we can just smile about and move through.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're totally right. And some listeners might think spirituality is too abstract for real life problems. So, what's your take on that too?
Yeah, no, spirituality is for everyone. I consider myself to be a blue collar mystic. I'm from West Georgia. Grew up around a lot of people doing meth, just, mechanics, farmers, construction workers, people like that. I mean, I did meth myself when I was a kid. I never really liked it. But just around the very simple mentality, of people who might not understand extremely long words and abstract concepts. But I mean, when we boil things down, for instance, ancestral trauma, that sounds expensive. It sounds like the most expensive therapy you could ever have. But all that is that your parents and their parents had bad habits, and they pass those
Yeah,
bad habits down to you. That's literally all it means. And so if we
yeah,
start to understand that, and then we can start to work on that, and then we don't pass those bad habits down to our kids. It's as simple as that.
yeah,
It's not some airy fairy woo woo crazy out there abstract idea. It's very simple and very straightforward and very practical. Everything is spiritual. Everyone is spiritual. Even going out and partying or whatever, it doesn't make you not spiritual. That's part of your spiritual development. You might learn that drinking is not a great thing for you. I learned that, and I learned it the hard way. Or whatever it winds up being. But every aspect of ourselves is spiritual. Like no part of it, when we're never hiding anything from the universe. It sees everything.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
every aspect of our life is by default spiritual. It's all encompassing. It's all part of this human experience.
Yeah. And this reminds me of one of the sessions that I had earlier with one of our guests, and we were talking about how everything in our life is connected to our spiritual life. So actually, we were talking about the connection between spiritual world and the physical world. So I think you have the space to correct me, but I think that you also mean the same thing, that everything that we see around us is spiritual. And when it comes to ourselves, I think this is what I personally believe, that if we take care of our spiritual side, then we could also get our physical science, our physical life aligned with everything that just comes along the way. So I mean, if I have to go deep into it, I just think that everything in this world has spirits in it. So everything is a container of a spirit. So like there's a spirit of depression, there's a spirit of joy, there's a spirit of generosity, but there's a spirit of fear. So I think I know what you mean when you say that everything that we see around us, whether it's going to a club or partying or anything, it's really spiritual because nothing is being hidden from the universe.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of animism and have been for a long time, even before I got, deeper into this as a practice. I mean, I can't see how you can separate anything from God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Like it's all part of that one. It must all resolve to the monad at some point.
Yeah. So, what's one tool or practice someone can start using today to discover their purpose?
One
Interesting.
tool, yeah, I've got
Yeah.
tons. Yeah, so I'll do a quick plug just because if people want to get all the tools, I have a free course on my Patreon page. People can go through that whole process for free. So I put several together because like it was just it took me a long time to figure out my purpose and get that down. So I found a bunch of different tools. I went on a scavenger hunt, found a bunch of tools, and then I've
Yeah.
tried to cobble those down and make them as simple and easy to follow as a process as possible and find your true goal on the course that I have on my Patreon page. It's called Path to Purpose. And it is available for free. But let's just do one really quick. I mentioned the Ikigai earlier. The Ikigai is an ancient Japanese philosophy about your reason for being, and what is a cross of is a cross between what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So one thing that I like to tell my clients and people that I get an opportunity to connect with to try and do is to just simply sit down and make a list of what you love, make a list of what you're good at, make a list of what the world needs, and make a list of what you can be paid for. And then after you finish that, make a list of what you hate, what you're not good at, what the world doesn't need, and what you can't be paid for so that you can see a little bit of contrast between the two things and get a better idea
Yeah.
of what really lights you up, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what makes sense for you and what doesn't. And that's a great place to start. Another tool
Yeah.
that I'll give real quick is one that I did learn from Steve Pavlina. And he said, if you want to know what your purpose is, sit down for 30 minutes and write down what you think it might be. Just speculate. And when you write something that makes you cry, there you go. You found your purpose. And that worked for me. Although I will say that some of the clients that I've had didn't have the same experience. Some of my clients are like, I don't cry. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't understand that because I cry all the time. But when you write something, let's say that just makes you feel a certain type of way, it just resonates at a deep level with you, whatever that recognition sign is, then yeah, you found a purpose. And it doesn't have to be some grandiose, long explanation
Yeah.
for things. Whatever works for you. For me, my basic purpose is to bring people joy. Like that's it. And I can do
Yeah.
that in a multitude of ways, right? Like I can be at the grocery store and I can bring someone joy at the checkout line. I can be walking around the neighborhood and smile at someone and bring them joy or make a joke. I can be on stage as a comedian and bring people joy by, doing my act and making them laugh. I can bring someone joy on a Zoom call, on a podcast. There's always an opportunity to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's my job or my vocation to do that, but I can implement my purpose in very many ways, many functions in the world.
Yeah. Wow. It's so amazing. I mean, this conversation is so delightful. This has been like such an amazing conversation, Owen. And by the way that you are talking, and with the knowledge and wisdom and insights that you have on this topic, it's really amazing, and it's really astonishing. And of course, by the way that you are talking, it just brings me so much joy. So thank you so much, Owen, for being who you are, and for being the person that brings joy literally to everywhere that they go to. So thank you so much for existing, Owen. I am
Well, I
The
appreciate
world is grateful for you. I am grateful for you. And yeah, so yeah, that's it for this episode of Inner Peace, Better Health. A huge thank you to Owen Hunt for sharing his journey from rock bottom to Hollywood and beyond, and for proving that spirituality can be a foundation for purpose and success. If today's conversation got you thinking, inspired you, or even made you laugh, share it with a friend who could use a little mystic energy. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and come back next time as we explore even more ways to align your inner peace with your outer goals. Until then, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep exploring what lights you up. See you soon.